Hi students, in this video we are going to learn about pollination, which you already learned in your lower classes. So last video we learned how the male and female gametes are formed. That is the male gamete inside the anther, that is pollen sac, that is in the microsporangium, and the female gametes in the embryo sac. The female gametes, egg cell and pollen nuclei. Now we need to know how do they meet. Here pollination plays an important role. So process of sexual reproduction, that is the fusion of male and female gametes, how they meet, they are not motile. Yes, so pollination helps for that. So what do you mean by pollination? Transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma is called what? Pollination. And we learned in our lower classes pollination is categorized into two, self-pollination and cross-pollination. So what do you mean by self-pollination? Transfer of pollen grains from the anther to stigma of same flower or of flower of same plant is called self-pollination. Cross-pollination means transfer of pollen grains from anther of one plant to the stigma of another plant. Anther to one plant to the stigma of another plant is called cross-pollination. Okay. Now, based on the source of pollen, pollination is of three types. One is autogammy, second one is geitonogamy, and third one is xenogamy. So, this we need to study in detail. So, first we will discuss about autogammy. Autogammy means self-pollination. It is the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of the same flower is called what? Autogammy, self-pollination. Okay, in flowers with exposed anthers and stigma, complete autogamy is rare in the sense that the flowers which is wide open, that is exposed anthers and stigma, that is they are far away from each other. In such cases, complete autogamy is rare. And autogamy in such flowers requires synchrony in pollen release and stigma receptivity. Synchrony in pollen release means as the pollen is released, stigma should be ready to receive it. So that means it requires synchrony in pollen release and stigma receptivity. When the pollen is been released, stigma should be ready to receive it. And anthers and stigma should be very close to each other for easily the autogamy will takes place. Okay, that's autogamy, and here you can see that autogamy is seen in plants which produce Kazmogammas flowers and Pleasegammas flowers. So we should know what is Kazmogammas flowers and Pleasegammas flowers. So Pleasegammas flower, you can see here the picture of it. They have exposed anther and stigma. That is, they are wide open flower, and they have this anther and stigma, they are far away from each other. That means in this case, the autogamy is not possible. That means less chance of self-pollination or autogamy as it is been wide open. And cross-pollination, the chance is more in such Kazmogammas flowers. Pleasegammas means what? Closed flower. You can see here. It is closed. Here, anther and stigma lie very close to each other. So here, what is the more chance? More chance of self-pollination or autogamy is more, and less chance of cross-pollination. Okay. And here you can see the clearly the picture, wide open picture given, and it is the closed flower. And examples you can see. Okay. And next here you can see again the Kazmogammas flowers. They are similar to flowers of other species with exposed anther and stigma, that is wide open. And Pleasegammas flowers, they do not open at all. You can see here very clearly. They are closed and anthers and stigma lies close to each other. They are autogamous, that is self-pollination takes place. And when anther disease in the flower buds, pollen grains come in contact with stigma for pollination. As they are close to each other, when they dehisce, that means that when they burst out, the pollen comes out, they comes in contact very easily as they are very close to each other. And Pleasegammas flowers, produce assured seed set even in the absence of pollinators. Means what? As they are very close to each other, if there is no pollinating agents also, pollination will takes place as they are very close to each other. And pleistogamy leads to inbreeding depression. That is very important. Inbreeding depression means inbreeding leads to what? A reduced biological fitness. Why? Because their breeding is taking place between the related individual itself. That is breeding that takes place inside a family itself. So the chief effect or the main effect of this inbreeding is it increases homozygosity in the progeny as the breeding is taking place between the related species itself. No chance of any cross pollination. Okay. Next is the geitonogamy. The third one, that is the geitonogamy. And second one, sorry, it is the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of another flower of the same plant. So here you can see very clearly, this is one plant and the same plant is having one flower here, one flower here. So if the anther is moving from one flower to the stigma of the other flower of same plant is called geitonogamy. So we can, it is functionally cross-pollination because from here it is moving the next to the next flower. So functionally we can call it as cross-pollination, but genetically similar. Genetically they are similar. Why? Because their flowers are from same plant. Okay. So functionally cross-pollination, but genetically self-pollination. I hope it is clear. Functionally in the sense they are moving from one to the another. Crossing is taking place. So cross-pollination. But genetically, as they are from both from same plant, genetically they are self-pollination. Okay. And here you can see the third one, xenogamy. It is the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of a different plant. That is one plant here, moving from here to the next. It brings genetically different pollen grains to the stigma. Here what happens actually, there we can functionally as well as genetically, they are cross-pollination because they are of different plant. Cross-pollination is taking place from one plant to the next. So here what we can say, new plant which have both the characters from the parents, that both the plant's characteristics will be there in the new plant. So varieties can be formed in the xenogamy cases. Okay, I hope the types of pollination it's clear to you. Next we need to learn about pollinating agents or agents of pollination, which will be discussed in the next video. Okay, thank you.